everyone. Today is Thursday, August 16th, and we're continuing to move through this freshman orientation that we have for the new business school. And my goal of coming to you live on Sunday right now, you could be picking up a little bit of this background noise, but my goal is to really just show you what is possible when we build something live with a case study together in a room. I began this series as a way to just document how should people be thinking, writing, and planning for their future around AI rather than just giving it everything. And so, as we continue going through the lecture series, I'm getting us ready for a course called Intro to AI Agents for Business Formation. You're hearing about AI agents everywhere, and a lot of it is bad and fake information. My goal as a software engineer is to just demo it live in front of you and just show you how easy this process is, despite how technically challenging it's going to look. I make it seem like it's so simple that you can just kind of relax and do this stuff. So the goal for our AI agent, every AI agent needs a goal. And the short-term goal that we have here is going to be, well, our AI agent should be able to make $100 a day. And how are we going to enable agentic commerce? Agentic commerce. How will we do that? Well, we have some options. We have Stripe, we have Shopify, and then I'll cover some more that are available as well. But really, what I'm going to call these are payment rails. And this is going to be really important because when we take a look at the underlying technology that powers both Stripe and Shopify, we're going to find out that it is something called Ruby on Rails. So keep that in mind. I'm giving you this engineering outlook, and then as I say over and over and over again, you cannot just have a short-term goal. A short-term goal needs alignment with a longer-term goal. Otherwise, a dream will turn into a nightmare. In the last class, we talked about how Khazar has a nightmare. We have a horrible, horrible, horrible nightmare situation that we just worked on with Khazar. And this horrible nightmare is is actually demonstrated in our whiteboard. Our whiteboard is documenting hey, first we need to document the purpose, then we need to come up with an underlying strategy of where we will go, and then before we fork into too many different directions, we need to first do this step. This is a prerequisite step. And Khazar missed doing this prerequisite step. The way that this relates back to business calculus, as we were talking before, so we have a really rich whiteboard that we've been working on as an artifact. And I've been talking quite a bit about why understanding calculus is the optimal strategy for business. And when I talked about calculus, I mentioned that there were two main things with calculus. Number one is computing the rate of change. And then number two is going up one level and then being able to communicate what the impact is actually going to be. And so inside of pricing and revenue, what we realize is that when we can properly use calculus, let me update this whiteboard a little bit so you can see this. We need to be able to find a price point. This is the first part of Khazar's nightmare. In Khazar's nightmare, what we have here is that the nightmare is in time, costs, and risk. Originally, Khazar was trying to have dirt cheap pricing for a simple website. It worked well in some of the larger markets in Pakistan, but it failed miserably once it came to America. And so this represents another concept that we will get into later called marginal cost. Actually, in this section right here, we talk about the next area where calculus is able to help you is in optimizing production volume. And so, in the optimization of production volume, what I mentioned previously in Khazar's nightmare, where Khazar took something that he thought was going to be great, and then it killed his time, it killed his cost, and it's risking him and everyone around him. And the reason why was that originally he said, I can do a website in one morning. If I could do a website in one morning, then in the afternoon I can make a sale. Then next morning I can make another website. Next day I can make another sale, and I can have a virtuous cycle. Over here, Khazar's hubris is what stopped him from being able to effectively fulfill the exercise. So a simple website, once he moved from the market in Pakistan into America, was that, oh, the website needed more things. It needed payment, it needed calendar. And so that actually caused the website to be delivered in 5 days, not one morning. Now, 5 days is 10 times the amount of time as one morning, as well as it took two people that we have on staff to fulfill this. Thus, this was 20x the cost. And so Khazar was able to collect a nominal fee. However, he was hit with a $6,000 burden that screwed him and the business over. Even though he made a sale and he successfully delivered the sale, he hurt himself so much in the process. Additionally, it stops him from forecasting, because if it takes Khazar one full week to service a client, then it takes Khazar 3 to 4 free phone calls. This gets into point number 3. It takes Khazar 3 to 4 phone calls to get the sale, because right now people don't trust him. So he's discounting quite heavily. So now we have an issue where week 1, Khazar makes a sale. Week 2, he fulfills the sale. Week 3, he goes to sell again. Week 4, he goes to fulfill. However, you have a problematic client. They start calling you 4 times in a week, 5 times in a week. They start asking for extra sessions after the service is done. And now it's week 4. Khazar is supposed to be servicing the new deal. And now keep in mind, each new deal takes Khazar and one other person an overtime week. So now something has to give. And Khazar is going to drop the ball, and he's going to risk his other business. And then he's going to fail on that, and that can cause refunds as well. And then the business, no matter the fact that you're making sales regularly, you get regular inbound, but you're dying. Why would you be dying, right? It's because this math does not work. And so the core idea is that Khazar's nightmare is caused by a lack of understanding of calculus. That is the point that I am trying to make to you, is that when we understand calculus, when we understand how things change and their rate of change, we can set pricing and revenue. We can do forecasting and inventory. I can think longer term in terms of financing, investment. Right now, you see the polytickers up there. A lot of you don't have the ability to think long term enough. And so then many people are thinking about, well, I need something for this life event, and so I'm going to gamble. So that becomes a bad version of that. And I do see many businesses are bragging. They can do hundreds and thousands of experiments, but I'm telling you, there's a reason why AI is in a massive bubble that is about to burst. And it's that without an understanding of calculus, you're going to keep guessing and running expensive experiments, and then you're going to get hit in all these different directions in your business. And that's going to cause you to fold. That's why you're going to end up quitting. And the reason you're going to quit is best denoted inside of this graph. This graph has a representation of different ways that you can grow, as well as when you hit that break-even point. You hit a point where, like, eventually you change your throughput, but then you're still in deficit when you take this different pathway in the beginning. That's represented by the blue curve under the pink line. And then we see it takes a little bit of time to make this back. That's the area under the curve. And then we can effectively forecast, okay, this is when I get my get back. And now this is really where I start profiting. And this is my motivation to stick with it. As humans, it is so natural for us to be fooled by these things. And as humans, it is also so natural to think that because we do not innately understand these things, that we are then governed by them. My goal for this lecture on a Sunday is to do a live build out of Khazar's nightmare and go from nightmare to dream. Okay? So, how are we going to go from the nightmare to the dream today for Khazar's situation? So, the simplest thing we're going to do is we are going to make a simple way for Khazar to make money with both me and Anthony as a result of live streaming and aligning with us. So the core answer here is that we have to have a lot of alignment. That's why we spend a lot of time on a whiteboard. That's also another thing that you'll see that makes my teaching a lot different is I'm going to bring you to a document before I sit there and bring you to AI. And in addition to that, I don't care what the hell AI is going to do. I know I'm going to beat it, and I know I can beat the AI even with a glass of wine in my hand because I know what I'm doing. I know what my limits are, and I practice this. This is the difference between an amateur and a professional. So we're going to dive into this. We're going to build something on Stripe. So in Khazar's nightmare, the main thing here is that it happened because of a lack of thinking. So that's why I'm opening up this Google Doc right here. This Google Doc is a representation of how we can just think out loud quite naturally, right? That's my goal. I just want to think out loud naturally. And so as I'm thinking about things, I'm like, okay, well, the first thing that I need to do when I'm pricing was we started benchmarking who's out there. And then we went to a framework called means, motivation, and opportunity. Now, one of the big reasons why many people are just choosing to defer their consciousness to AI is because you aren't necessarily moving between a blank page and a whiteboard for your ideas. Because when we move between a blank page and a whiteboard, I'm going to show you how fluid it can be to get aligned and how you don't need to just go back and forth 20 times with AI. So we used a framework that is found in the American military. It's called means, motivation, opportunity. So with means, the thing that I care the most about with your means is, notice for Khazar, his means is a representation of one, his direct experience. His direct experience is what have I already done, not a school project, not a personal project, not a side project, not a weekend demo. What have I done for a paying customer that I can still get in touch with and that I can still see the work? If you did something for the customer and you can't see it and they're not going to talk about it, guess what? It's invisible. No one's going to be able to believe you. And so this is why this is one of the most important grounding parts in the framework, because so many people think they're going to bypass this layer. They try to go past it, and then they end up in Khazar's nightmare. The next thing is that Khazar has direct relationships with freelancers in both India and Pakistan. Those are his relationships. Your relationships are defined based on who will pick up the phone when you call them, right? If you try to call someone, you try to text someone, it's going to take them a month. That's not a direct relationship. It's not the type of direct relationship that you can count on in business, because you can't count on them to be a member of your community, a customer, or someone that's part of your supply chain, because they're not even talking to you. And so means is the first part of the equation. How I specifically do it is I define that by your direct experience that can be observed. And then number two, your direct relationships that will get back to you in 24 hours to 72 hours. Anything beyond that, I do not believe that that is a direct relationship that you own. I know some people want to fight me on that, and that's okay. Um, Now, this sets the ground, our means is what sets the ground for motivation. Now, in this case, where Khazar has a very small network and only one or two things that can really be observed, his motivation has to be more so focused on what can I do today, what can I do tomorrow, and what can I do next week. He can't think beyond that. Khazar should not be thinking all the way out to December 2027. He shouldn't be thinking about, oh my God, I'm going to go to Bali and then I'm going to learn how to go do high ticket sales. No, that is escapism. We talked about this many times before, how I define that as mental masturbation. Okay, so for motivation, this is going to be scoped to the end time. And so, what's realistic for him is to focus on a personal brand and his ability to go premium. So, his opportunity, unfortunately, is limited because he has no direct professional experience that is going to impress a client for a monthly retainer right now. And so, doing that is a fool's errand. So, to combat that, that is why we use this framework to ground ourselves. And so, the opportunity for Khazar is to just mimic what's happening in the marketplace. So, in the marketplace, people just sell a PDF on Stripe and make $100 a day. So, Khazar should not be making, and so let me write this over here. Khazar should not do a marketing agency. That's a bad idea for him right now because it's not working for him and it's causing a nightmare. But then he has to think about who will he serve. And the people he's going to serve, it could either be someone who's 1 to 2 steps behind you, and that's someone who has the same identity as you. However, the con, right? There's pros and cons. So this is a pro, and then a con would be minimal to no money. So you could get a customer, you can get hundreds of them, but they can't do anything. Now, the other thing is that, okay, great. You could talk about who benefits with you. The pro is that you have diversity, and then you can do rich targeting where you specifically, focus on who you're going to have. But then the con is nobody likes being sold. And so it takes a long time to build rapport. High ticket sales requires 1+ year of history that is fully visible or insane distribution. Now, this is something that Khazar was not able to understand in the beginning, and that's why it's causing such a bad wake-up call, right? He's in a nightmare, and now he's about to have a very rude awakening from that nightmare. And so what we realize is that Khazar is focusing so poorly in the wrong places. And it's natural. What he needs to do instead is he needs to think and get really real and validate, how do I help people with time? How do I help people with cost? How do I help people with risk? The big issue that Khazar has right now is that he always goes to ChatGPT. If there's anything you need to ask him, if he can't look at ChatGPT, he's not able to currently answer the question. And so he can try to come up with answers to these three things, but they never work. And in fact, they actually delude him and send him further in the wrong direction. So what we then decided was we had to do more deep thinking. And so we realized that, oh, Kazar should never be saying, I'm going to do your website or marketing service right now, because he's doing this very poorly right now because he's not profiting. If and only if Kazar can raise his price above $5,000, should he do this. But what we already said was that high ticket sales requires 1+ year of history that is fully visible or insane distribution. So we got a pretty big problem here. So then what we decided to do was think about who are his direct relationships. His direct relationships is Anthony and myself. Now remember, I told you solopreneurship is stupid. So then if you have a network of people who you're like, okay, I could tap in with you guys, like I know twice a week that we can connect. And so this is Kazar's optimal strategy now for being able to move forward is through his network. And what we then realized was that, oh, okay, well, the next thing is that how big of a promise am I making? Now, the big issue is that the promise that he's making right now is based on doing discovery. And so typically they'll tell you, hey, talk to the customer, ask them questions. And if he was to do that, the issue would be is that everything I need is beyond his capabilities, and he will get back into the same problem again. This is extremely unfortunate. So what happens in this situation? Well, here's one big rule for someone like Kazar and anyone watching. Don't charge for what you're learning until you've done it for yourself, and then don't charge any premium until after you've gotten 10 case studies. So then we narrowed the problem more, and then I tried thinking about a tiny burning hair, and then I started asking myself time-bound questions. And so this is the art of discovery. And so I asked myself, I was like, okay, like, you know, in 90 days, what do I want to happen? In 90 days, if nothing changes, what's going to happen? In 90 days, or right now, where do things break? And so a lot of these questions, again, they were too big for what Kazar would be able to follow through on. So we did even more detailed, targeted discovery. First, we asked key questions about his funnel. We started gathering numbers, we started organizing numbers. We said how much content is being produced. Then we started asking higher level questions. We asked what percent of content drives inbound. Then another thing that we said is that, okay, from inbound, what percent are buying? What would be the average deal size, and so on and so forth. And what we came to was realizing that, oh, okay, well, the thing that I need, the thing that Anthony needs as well, when we think about it, is that I just need branded YouTube content. I'm just going to get on a stream, I'll give you a video link, and then you give me branded content for the video. And then once you can do that reliably without my direction, and then I see that it's working, then we can expand, and then I can start, doing carousels, maybe doing some PDFs with you, maybe doing some images with you, right? So that was a big part of that. And so, like, if you still have questions on that part, go watch the previous lecture. If you're seeing this on Substack or YouTube right now, there will be, like, once, if you are a founding member, you'll have access to see like everything that you've missed so far. Else, like, you're gonna have to organize the links, or you just go to maybe like my LinkedIn. I think my LinkedIn is where everything is right now. So I think you definitely would be able to see it there. Okay, great. So the next thing I want to do, I want to see. So we got back to this point. We're trying to work on Kazar. Now we got to set up Stripe affiliate links so that he can make money with me and Anthony, right? Because like, if he can make money with us, then that's the best pathway for him, right? That's what I'm thinking. So let's work through that. All right. So how we're gonna work through setting up affiliate in Stripe is going to be centered around first pulling up the Stripe dashboard. So I'm gonna pull up the Stripe dashboard in the meantime, real quick. That it's super important to stay careful with Stripe, um, just because, like, right, like this is how we collect money. So this is really like a lab that shows people behind the scenes of how I'm going to click through this. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you this is what Stripe looks like. I want to show you what does it look like. If you were to scan this QR code, what does that look like? You'll be taken to a page like this. Now, right now, you will see that this works, but something is missing. And the thing that's missing from this is that, okay, like, does this give you enough information to buy? So we're going to work together. So this is the page that you're going to see. And then this is the back end. How will I design the back end for this? Well, it looks like I can customize my branding inside of here. So maybe that's the first simplest thing that I can do so that people become comfortable with this. And so now for people to get comfortable with this, that means that they're going to need to see like consistent images. So if they see a consistent image, a consistent icon, and so the icon probably should just be my face, right? Let's see if we can do that. Oh no, that didn't work. Then I can also have a logo as well. So I'll keep the same logo as well, because I think that that is very important. Then I'm going to make something red. I think red and blue is fine for right now. I would be able to add a domain as well, but for right now, I'm going to hit save. Now, this is just basic branding of like, okay, product name, colors. Unfortunately, having this red for the brand color causes a problem. So we'll bring that to blue, and then the accent color is going to be this right here. Uh-oh, now this is still a problem, right? And so I guess what I will do instead is I'll just try to get a headshot, because people are going to need to see my face. And then one of the other issues is that I don't currently have a consistent um, I currently don't have a consistent image. So now this becomes a branding nightmare. So for right now, I'm just going to keep this. I'm going to keep this as is. I'm going to keep editing. I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to move out of this screen. And now I have to ask myself, okay, like, I see that we have this now. Um, this works fine for now. But again, people are still going to be confused, because another thing that people are going to see is like, well, what's the name of this? And when brand names don't match up, we have a problem. So the next thing I will need to do is I will need to change my account name. And I've also accidentally just doxed my old address on the mainstream, and I've also doxed my account ID. So this is where things can get super, super like dangerous, when we're working with something like Stripe. So just keep that in mind. Like, given that they have my account ID, like I'm not nervous about that getting out. I let that leak out. It's not a private key. So what I'll do is while I'm refilling this out, I'm just going to quickly change the name to the New Business School. Sorry about that. All right, amazing. And now I'm going to come back to my screen in just 1 second. And then, yeah, I'll start sharing this tab again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at anything I can edit, anything that's worth editing as well. So notice like pay securely at the New Business School with Jai Bhagat and everywhere link is accepted. Nice. I could collect information about my customers right now. However, I'm not doing that currently. And so a big reason why is that, hold on, let me first, let's do this. Get the details for that. Custom fields, blah, blah, blah. I will ask for customer names now that I kind of think about it. So now my link is now being updated. Now I think the next thing I should try to do, again, like I said, is branding this a little bit better. So I'll see if I have a headshot. And now the issue with the headshot is going to be like, oh, okay, like it's not a branded image. So then people could be confused. However, this is becoming a core image in the brand. Um, so keeping that in mind, like it is still going to look like this. So I'm like, okay, this looks good to me. I will now hit the back button. And now let's take a look at what we're going to be able to do inside of here. Um, so let's take a look inside of here. Like I can see the payment page, and then I also have the ability to control like what happens after this. So I would be able to, whoa, I would be able to replace this with a custom message. And this custom message is going to say something. So this custom message is going to say like, I could even just give people the link to the Slack group and the expected channel. Join the Slack group, right? And so now what I can do, so I can have people join Slack and say, okay, great. Now, this button right here, post payment invoices, like, so a lot of times customers will request this, but they may have like a specific request of how this should look. And so I'm not going to create this right now. Like, I'm just going to, you know, I'm going to leave it there, and then like only if people ask. Now, this doesn't set anything up for like gifting or anything of that nature. So um, that's really important to also remember. I can also see like what events have changed inside of here. Now my next move is, well, how do I do affiliate inside of Stripe? So the next thing I want to do is I want to talk about affiliate. And so notice there's going to be some profiles inside of here. I typically want to stay away from that. Just set up affiliate. And notice how unhelpful this whole thing was. And so a lot of times things are going to be extremely unhelpful. That's totally fine. Um, what I plan to do is to look at this for myself in my payment methods. I can also do adaptive pricing. I will not be doing adaptive pricing right now. Um, I don't need to do anything custom here. Okay. All right, so this is pretty awesome. Terminal, integrate your in-person checkout. No, I don't need this. Okay, let's take a look at what else they have. So when we hit the more button, we see Link is a really powerful feature I'm using right now for like collecting money. They have workflows, there's Capital, there's Stripe Atlas for incorporating. There's something for issuance, connect, profiles, financial connections. What I really care about right now is locating affiliate. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you an advanced technique with AI. This advanced technique with AI is going to be centered around me doing the following. Give me 1 second to just like kind of change what screen I'm sharing. Okay. So next, what my game plan is, I'm gonna hit the share button, and I'm now gonna go for sharing a window instead. So this will be a little bit noisier, but let's go ahead and let's take a look at where we will be able to find affiliate inside of Stripe. So the reason why I said that this is a little bit dangerous is I'm going to use this harness and say, where do I set up affiliate payment in Stripe? I want to set up affiliate for the current founding membership product that I'm promoting. Now this is going to fire off, and what this is going to do is this is going to take over the browser. And when it takes over the browser, I can literally just do this. And so notice here, first it's going to take a look like, oh, should I use the Stripe app? And then it's going to say, hey, do you want to use any of these apps? Or there's something called Stripe Connect. Oh, okay. I wouldn't have thought that given that name, right? If you're paying affiliates directly. And so this is for revenue splits. Aha. So now let's visualize this process together. Also, there's manual. No, there's manual. There's third party. There is third party, but I just don't think I want to add to the stack. Like, if I can just do it inside of Stripe, like, I don't think it matters as much. How will funds flow on your platform? All right, so now look, there's two business models that are on this screen. Business model one, sellers will collect payments directly. That means I'm going to have resellers. I'm not going to have sellers. It's going to be my platform. I'm going to sell to buyers and I'm going to send payouts to people. And now I'm going to need show more. So buyers will be able to purchase goods and services directly from me. My platform is going to appear on all receipts. I'll be responsible for refunds and disputes. I'm liable if sellers can't pay back negative balances. So that means like someone is going to sell on my platform and I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, I'm just trying to do affiliate. So it looks like immediately that Stripe Connect seems like it would be a great thing. However, and I mean, probably they didn't want to compete with someone in the marketplace. So now we will take a look for affiliate. And a couple companies were recommended in this area by AI. But if I see something that is recommended by AI, I'm like, okay, that's probably a bad product. Let's find out together like what's possible, how easy it could be, and maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not. And type in referrals. All right, so what's interesting is that everything that was promoted by Claude didn't make it to the top page here. So that's pretty unique. And then the next thing I'm going to do is let's take a look at who's going to charge. Works with, has to work with a lot of the stuff I have. Now take a look, I have a very different type of list. Now, what if this does not work with that? So the next thing I would do in this situation is there a G2 crowd? Is there a G2 crowd style matrix for these options for me? So that's the first thing that I'm going to need to find out for myself is that, okay, like, how's this going to work, right? Now, while that goes on in the background, what I'll do is I'm going to take a look at some of these services myself. And then a lot of these companies have the same name. So now look, we can also see inside of here, like, who are these companies? What are they offering? How much is it going to cost me? Let's take a look. How much is this feature going to cost me? Oh, take a look right here. Like, so in this situation, am I really going to spend $75 a month on doing this? No, no, absolutely not. It's not worth it. Not on this one. Okay, great. Um, so then now my next thing is sometimes you have to go to Google, how to set up affiliate in Stripe. So now this is again recommended by AI, so we can't really trust it. All right, so verified partner, Capterra has a 5. Monthly, 40 bucks a month. Okay, so now look, I'm taking a look based on pricing. Ah, okay, so with my referrals, like, um, I'm only going to be able to get my first 3 referrals on this, and then I'll be able to do something with this. Um, and then, of course, like, I'll change after that, but okay, this seems like, all right, so then, yeah, so immediately what I'm realizing is that affiliate in Stripe sucks. Um, we'll take a look at Rewardful next. Pricing, wow. No, this kind of sucks too. So now we have a pickle. I want to do this manually. Um, could we do this via promotional codes where each rep has a special link for the discount? So it's $497 for the founding membership, and then we have discount codes for Anthony Kazar, and the discount gets you to pay only. So now what we're realizing is that, okay, setting up affiliate in Stripe sucks. Clicking around Stripe also sucks. However, using natural language, I can say, okay, I've seen the platform enough. Like, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to set it up. Let's just go ahead and do that. Oh boy. So this is going to keep working on its own. What I just did real quick was like I put an ID on that. Oh, so now this is the dangerous side, right? Where like I intervened a few times with AI. And now look, this is part of the headache. But if we know, okay, now we kind of have like a little bit of a workflow. So then it just kind of makes my life a little bit easier because sometimes I can also be multiplayer with the AI as well. Ain't nobody love me better than you. And then obviously sometimes you're going to be way faster than AI. So that's also something to keep in mind is to do that. And so as we go through this process where the AI is just clicking through my browser on my behalf, I love it when that happens. And I really just love it when that happens, honestly. So now I have a system that we're going to be able to do affiliate on this. And this was the process of setting up affiliate directly inside of Slack. So today our goal was to set up affiliate links in Stripe. And now, like, and now what happens inside of here is that like anytime someone buys something from me, Kazar can get paid and Anthony can get paid. Then when we make Kazar's actual offering, we'll set something up so that I can get paid from him and Anthony can get paid from him. And then when Anthony does the same thing, it's going to be the same thing back to us. And now our goal of $100 a day actually becomes possible because each of us has something that we can sell and that we can also go above that number. And if we go above that number, then everyone can also get a piece of the pie. If I have a big week, then Anthony and Kazar have a big week too. So keep that in mind. That's the core idea of what it is that we're trying to do here. And so let me know what you thought about today's real Saturday build out. Like I actually went in, I clicked all the buttons inside of Stripe. I showed you how easy it is that I could just do it with a glass of wine in my hand and just the principles that I know. And my big goal of doing that is to remind people of what is actually possible when we just think with higher order principles and we apply a level of strategic rigor before we just start handing things off to AI. AI did the magic at the end of fully completing uh, the Stripe affiliate program, but it took about 45 minutes of alignment before that, and then the back 5 minutes, everything got done. So that's something worth keeping in mind. That was today's Sunday live build. And let me know what you guys thought about that one. We're going to keep trying to go live over and over and over again until I really harden the syllabus out. And I would probably say that I'm going to spend another 7-ish days trying to harden the syllabus out. And then, you know, another 7 days probably welcoming people in. After Labor Day, we'll really get started on a lot of this work, but we're really doing tons and tons of alignment right now. Thanks, and I'll